Hello, everyone.
Hi, folks. Happy Friday. Glad to see everyone, given that we've been off the last few weeks, scheduling conflicts, kids in different camps for the summer that we had to pick up, and we were out of town visiting family. Before that, dealing with some end-of-life issues, unfortunately, but we are happy to be back. And hopefully, wherever you're at, it's not as hot as it is going to be here in Omaha today. We're supposed to be over the hundreds all weekend. So we're going to be enjoying air conditioning.
Yes, not planning to go outside for a while. I've already been outside to water our plants, and that was hot enough.
Yes, it was.
7 a.m. It was still too hot to be out there.
So thank you for people that are coming in and starting to join us. I'm going to go over a few deals that are out there. YouTube TV is still at $60 for your first 2 months. So a savings of $46, and offer ends at the end of July. And it's currently offering a 10-day free trial. Fubo is currently offering $20 off a month for the first month for Pro and Elite, making them $65 and $75 respectively. DirecTV is offering a number of different savings for their signature plans, starting at $10 off all the way up to $40 off for the first month. And Sling is their current usual half off for the first month, and now they're also offering a free month of AMC Plus.
Yeah, awesome. It's always a good day to snag deals, y'all. So if any of those interest you, take advantage, please. I'll go ahead and jump into our first story, which is that streaming made history this week.
No, that's later.
Oh, sorry. Our first story is on, 30% of TV viewers aren't watching live TV. I guess I conflated the two in my mind, but there was a new report out from a test research that came out this week, revealing what we have known already for some time, which is that fewer people are watching live TV. And it's really not a surprise, given that streaming has made it easier to watch most things on demand or on your own schedule when you want to watch them. But some of these stats were interesting, so we wanted to share them with you. So 28% of consumers are saying that they generally don't watch any live TV on an average day, and that's up 4% from last year and up 8% from 2 years ago. And the increase in number is actually largely driven by younger Americans. So 41% of people in their 30s or under their 30s are saying they don't watch live TV. And those who do watch it say they watch it for less than 30 minutes a day versus up to 2 hours for older people. And streaming usage is also somewhat down. There's a 4% decline in people watching 2 or more hours a day, but it's the same under 30s group that's streaming the most. So 25% of that group watching 1 to 2 hours a day, and another 25% watching up to 4 hours. Overall, TV viewing continues to decline. 56% of Americans watch 3 or more hours of TV a day. And that's a reduction from 61% last year, 63% the year before. And younger viewers are really who's driving that down. And the numbers, again, they aren't surprising. We've been seeing this as streaming grows, live TV is going to drop. We have more options to watch TV when we want, and no longer, you don't have to be in front of a TV to watch a show when it airs. And then really social media is also playing a role here. Big role really in the decline of live TV viewership. Younger people are accessing what they want on social media platforms, and more content is becoming available on social media. And really, again, no surprise, it's largely sports that is still what people are willing to watch live. Super Bowl, big events like that are driving the numbers. So all this data, why should we care? Just because eventually it's going to impact streaming. How many people are going to be willing to spend $90 or more a month for a live TV streaming service? This could also be an issue for legacy media companies. We're already seeing, WBD spinning off their linear channels.
Comcast as well.
Yeah, will they continue to struggle with profitability? And we expect things to continue to go in this direction. This test study bears that out. far fewer people are opting for something even like a Spotify or YouTube Music versus the radio for their music needs. The same is true for newspapers. People are going to social media or YouTube to get their news, and not even just their local news over a live service. They can get it more easily somewhere else. So it's just going to be really interesting to watch this play out and see how the media landscape continues to change, what it looks like in a few years. And then just other random bits from the report that we thought were interesting. Prime Video and Disney Plus have experienced the most growth recently among streaming services. Apple TV Plus and Sling are facing challenges with 12% and 4% respectively, people accessing those platforms every week. So just something to keep watching.
Most definitely. And it's really, I think would be concerning for someone like Sling, and they've been dealing with their own issues, and so it'll be interesting to watch. Thank you everyone for joining. A couple of good questions already. We wonder that too as well, Jeffrey, about when Fubo is going to announce their skinny bundle. They say before football season, and seeing as we're getting ready to start the last week of June, we've got about 2.5 months until football season starts, and so I would anticipate something at least in the next month or so. But who's to say? This is Fubo. And Nancy asking about her year of Paramount Plus with Showtime for $60 is coming to an end. We've not seen any deals lately. I actually was just looking at that myself right before starting the live stream. If you use Walmart Plus, they throw that in there. But what we have noticed over the last year or so is Paramount Plus has been less willing to throw deals out there, whereas Peacock has been doing it seemingly like every 3 or 4 months. So yeah, nothing there, unfortunately. And yes, Lou, that is a good point. Paying, that big price to get sports is going to be, or unwilling to be paying for that, could be bad for many of these streamers. So sort of speaking on that is the question of, has pay TV, so cable and satellite, has pay TV found its bottom? And a new report from Moffett-Nathanson this week shows that pay TV operators may be seeing a potential bottom. And it's been no doubt, anyone that has watched the space over the last few years, just the mass exodus that there has been, people leaving cable and satellite. But the research firm is reporting that the number of people leaving is declining now, and has been for 3 or 4 months consistently. It's been declining. And a quote from them, to state the obvious, a subscriber decline of nearly 12% per year can hardly be called good. 3 consecutive quarters of improvement in the decline rate of traditional pay TV. That's the first time we've been able to say that since the decline began in the early 2010s. And so while seemingly insignificant, it does point to a potential slowdown in subscribers leaving, and thus a potential bottom. And it's also not necessarily good, as we'll touch on in a minute, as a number of people leaving cable and satellite is sobering. Pay TV operators are still profitable. They're still making money. They're just not making it in droves like they were a couple decades ago. And one assumption would be that many people left and they just went to YouTube TV, since YouTube TV has like 9 million subscribers. That's also not necessarily the case. So per deadline, before we assume that has been the case, Moffett they claim that Moffett estimates that YouTube TV lost 500,000 subscribers in the first quarter of this year. On one hand, that's not surprising given that football season was over at the time, but it also points to their price increase that they announced at the end of December, early January. And he's saying that it's more than seasonality at work. And a key part in all of this is YouTube TV's 14% price hike that they launched or announced, going to $83 a month. So they started in 2017 at $35 a month, as many people know. That's a 137% price increase over that time, so in just 8 years. And pretty soon after they announced the price hike, as we discussed, they had an official $10 off a month for 6-month retention offer. Well, that ended within the last month, so the price hike is now in force. But as has been reported by a number of outlets, they now have unofficially rolled out another $10 off a month retention offer. And from what I understand, basically if you go through the cancel process, they will incent you with another $10 off a month for 6 months. From what I understand, not everyone's seeing it, but it's a large enough numbers that if you're with YouTube TV and you haven't done that yet, it's worth checking out. And on the other side, pay TV providers have been trying to keep or lure customers away by integrating streaming apps into their platforms. And what is the key driver in this? Sports, again. And if you opt for streaming, you're going to need to pay for a variety of subscriptions if sports are important to you. Now, regardless of the sport it is, of the major sport it is that you follow, you're going to have multiple subscriptions. And pay TV, on the other hand, allows you to watch more without needing to subscribe to a bunch of different providers. And we know that growing numbers of Americans are frustrated, just like Lou mentioned in the chat, are getting frustrated with having to deal with that and the price that comes with it. And so the DTC ESPN's DTC rollout, that's going to be coming up. It's going to be telling how that plays out, if they see large numbers, if they're going to be happy with what they get. I know for us, we love ESPN. We have it during the football season, typically through Sling. We're likely not going to be opting for it. We'll test out the service for sure, but we're likely not going to be opting for it. So one thing is clear, as has been the case for some time, live sports is the crown jewel of TV, and pay TV providers embracing streaming apps could help them stay somewhat relevant. And so it will be interesting to see how pay TV works with that in order to try and stay relevant. And agreed, Space Ghost, their high prices and bad service is a huge knock against cable. And
thinking about where streaming is going with these, Hulu Live and YouTube TV, unfortunately, it could be the same situation, if not worse, because I think streaming services have even less customer service or no customer service, whereas at least cable and satellite companies had someone you could call, even though it was usually a frustrating waste of time. Yeah, like when we had Cox years ago, we could go. There are Cox offices here in town that we could go to if we had issues. You can't do that with YouTube TV or Sling or whoever. And unfortunately, the prices are just going to keep going up. So it is going to be telling to see what ESPN does. Yeah. And I would tend to agree that I don't think cable is going to go anywhere. It's just going to be less relevant, I think, and I could most definitely be wrong. I think it is going to depend on how they embrace streaming. Yeah, and speaking of that, now we can move on to the story I tried to start the broadcast with. I'm excited about it, but streaming making history. So Nielsen came out with its monthly gauge report, and the headline told the tale. Streaming came in number one for the first time ever. I know you can't see that headline right now, but wanted you guys to see the chart there. So streaming accounted for, and this is for May, looking back at May, 44.8% of total TV usage, and that's compared to 44.2% for broadcast and cable. So it's not like they're dominating, but they have finally overtaken, and we expect that trend to continue. Nielsen has been doing this for 4 years, the gauge report specifically, where they look at the media landscape as a whole, and this change in habits is significant, right? So at the time, even 4 years ago, nearly 2/3 of Americans were watching TV through broadcast and cable. Only 26% were getting it via streaming. And that's a 71% increase over 4 years. A few things of interest from this report. Netflix has remained the top streaming on-demand platform every month for the past 4 years. Free services have experienced an explosion in viewership. That includes both YouTube and FAST platforms. YouTube usage, for example, has, sorry, I'm just trying to get the next window up, I'm losing my train of thought. But YouTube usage has grown by 120% over that 4-year span, received 12.5% of all TV viewing in May. FAST platforms are seeing solid growth as well. Nielsen says that Pluto TV, Roku Channel, and Tubi combined for almost 6% of total TV viewing in May. And that's larger than any individual broadcast network over that span. And then the New York Times had an article on this and made some interesting insights into why streaming has taken over. So some of those insights were that younger viewers have certainly helped push the tide towards streaming, but it's actually older viewers that are putting streaming over the top. Those over age 65 tend to watch more TV, and they watch a lot of YouTube, with a 106% increase in viewership over the last 2 years. Older viewers also flocked more towards FAST apps to watch nostalgic TV shows. For just as one example, Gunsmoke has been making regular appearances in Nielsen's most watched streaming series list over the past few months. That was shocking to me.
I remember watching Gunsmoke as a kid with my family, with my parents, and with my dad and my grandfather, and that just shows you if someone's going to put something like that out there, people are going to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is really interesting to see. And that also another insight that the New York Times shared was that cable networks have dramatically reduced spending on original content, steering much of that towards streaming platforms. And if you watch Yellowstone and all the related shows, you're seeing that. You've got to go to Paramount Plus to see those original
other than Yellowstone.
Other than Yellowstone, 1883, 1923, you're not going to get that on the Paramount network. And then just a few other notable insights. YouTube and Netflix are the top dogs again. They make up 20% of all TV viewing. Peacock is bringing up the pack at the back of the pack with just 1.4%. And then, both Tubi and the Roku channel outperformed Peacock and Max. So we thought that was interesting. Time will just really tell how the balance between pay TV and streaming is going to play out. Again, when football returns in the fall, it may trend a little more back towards live TV. And pay TV providers are embracing streaming more as a way to keep subscribers. So it's be interesting to watch.
Sorry to hear that about your Hulu Live DVR. It was probably a year or two ago that we were experiencing similar issues when we had Hulu Live for a couple of months, and would be interested to know so you're not able to see everything. And I know with in our experience, Hulu wasn't able to offer any help as well, and that was the case with a number of different technical issues. And yes, it is interesting that Andy, that Spectrum is doing that.
And Comcast too.
Yeah, just that. Keeping people within their ecosystem is really the drive there. Embracing the enemy in order to keep yourself
and
afloat.
really the stream saver deals that Comcast, I think it's Comcast that put that one out. That's a really good deal if you don't need sports. You can really save a lot of money. You don't have to have this expensive live service that offers everything. Yeah,
for sure. And so our next story is Verizon shutting down its Play program. It hasn't been uncommon for legacy phone carriers to offer discounts to popular streaming services as a means to benefit subscribers. Both Verizon and T-Mobile offer such deals that get discounts or bundle everything into one. Unfortunately, this week, Verizon announced it's going to be discontinuing its Plus Play offering to new subscription enrollments as of July 9th, so about 3-ish weeks from now. The plan has been around for about 3 years, and existing subscriptions can still be managed via the service. At least that's what they're saying now. Verizon customers will still reportedly be able to sign up for streaming apps through My Plan and My Home, but the ease of having them all together will be gone for new subscriptions. And as I said, time will tell if Verizon even continues to offer that ability to get it through those two plans. Verizon made a statement to The Streamable saying, quote, "Verizon is committed to providing the best value, choice, and experience for customers. We've evolved our Plus Play platform via the creation of My Plan and My Home, which takes the top entertainment platforms and makes them available at exclusive savings to our mobile and home customers in a simple and easy to manage construct. Today, over half of our mobile customers are on My Plan. My Plan and My Home provide the easiest path to the content and entertainment services that our customers want most." End quote. So in short, marketing speak. It's not surprising either, given that Verizon had its worst quarterly postpaid customer loss ever in this first quarter. And T-Mobile is an option through its Popular On Us offerings that gives access to platforms like Apple TV Plus, Netflix, and Hulu. You can also manage subscriptions through Roku or Prime Video. Unfortunately, it just comes off as corporate greed on Verizon's part, and more challenges for streamers looking to save money and looking to coalesce everything in one place.
Yeah, because you're losing that centralized billing aspect, which would be nice to just pay one bill and get, that's a convenience that people haven't, aggregators have not been able to centralize that. So even with the My Plan switching to that, it's not as good, because you're going to have to, even though you get a discount, you're going to have to go pay the streaming service.
Yeah, and that's a great question, James, on just trying to decide before when football season starts, if to go with ESPN or Sling or YouTube TV. If you have an antenna, I think that makes the decision a little bit easier that you may not need YouTube TV in that case. But Sling, really, the key aspect there versus ESPN is, especially if you watch college football, the ability to switch between orange and blue to get both ESPN or Fox Sports. K-State's our team, and a lot of our games are on Fox Sports, so we have to have access to that, and that's probably why we're going to opt for Sling, starting in late August, to get access to that. And so YouTube TV, I would if you can't get locals with an antenna, and obviously if you're thinking about Sunday Ticket, YouTube TV is going to be it. I personally, so that's a great question on if Discovery content will remain on Max. I think in time it's probably going to come off Max, but that's just my speculation, given everything they have said and the what they're doing. I would foresee them taking it off of Max. And
changing their name back to HBO Max. If they really want to elevate HBO content again, then Discovery content really doesn't belong on there. So it would be likely to me that they could pull it.
But then they'll change their minds again in 18 months. And anyway,
they could. Okay, well, let's move on to another story. This is a little different. This is just a piece of news about Netflix that we thought was interesting. So on Wednesday, Netflix announced that it's going to begin streaming live TV in France next summer. The deal is with one of the leading broadcasters in France, which is TF1. This isn't necessarily out of the blue, as Netflix and TF1 have worked together on productions in the past. TF1 currently reaches 58 million viewers with its broadcast channels, and it serves 35 million users on its streaming channel TF1 Plus. And TF1 sees this as a way to get more viewers and grow its advertising revenue. It shows game shows, live sports, soap operas. Netflix, for its part, has said that this is, quote, a first of its kind, not one, but first of its kind partnership that plays to our strengths of giving audiences the best entertainment alongside the best discovery experience. That was from Greg Peters, the co-CEO of Netflix. And then he went on to say, by teaming up with France's leading broadcaster, we will provide French consumers with even more reasons to come to Netflix every day and stay with us for all of their entertainment. So why should we care about this in the States? Well, one simple reason, it's arguable that it's a test balloon to possibly for Netflix to grow its live TV presence. And this isn't without precedent either. Netflix live streamed the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson match last November, snagged 108 million viewers for that. They also got 65 million viewers to watch the Christmas NFL games last year, and they have them again this year. And reports are also out that Netflix might be going after Sunday afternoon games when the rights window opens up. And Netflix also has Monday Night Raw that it streams live. So assuming this deal in France works out, well, it's arguable that Netflix could aim to do similar partnerships in other countries around the world, and also here in the U.S. So, with a growing ad-supported base of 94 million subscribers on its ad plan, Netflix could stand to make a lot of money in ads and could be attractive to broadcasters that want to expand their reach.
For sure, and I think it's going to happen. I think it's inevitable because they're one of the tech giants that's going to stand out in all of this. And if you just remember going back, 2 years ago or whatever, that their first live stream of the Love is Blind reunion, that was just a debacle. Yep. And then the boxing match was another debacle. But they got things straightened up for NFL. I've not heard of any major issues with Monday Night Raw. So they're clearly making investments in improving this, and they would just, that line of on-demand and live service is blurring more and more, and I think in the long run they're going to continue to cross over and be a mix of both.
And I feel like we've also read enough reports from industry, execs and people in the streaming industry who have said it's Netflix and then it's everybody else trying to play catch up, that Netflix is that market leader. So for sure. And our last story is about Max. They have a few things going on. We discussed last month on our last live stream how they're going back to HBO Max, and they're seemingly like their 6th name change. And their latest rebrand this summer, they announced a couple of things. One, WBD announced another update is going to be happening ahead of the rebrand with an interface update. And as regular Max viewers, we usually watch something on Max numerous times a week. We're happy for this, and we're welcoming and hoping that it'll make its interface more dynamic rather than stale. Per The Verge, the first upgrade should be showing up for American viewers very soon if it hasn't already. The change is going to allow for automatic play of video previews when you hover over shows and movies, similar to what you see with something like Netflix. And per WBD, subscribers will have some control over this, saying, quote, to provide subscribers with control over their experience, users will be able to toggle the video and audio on or off from the settings and playback menu. This feature will be available for U.S. adult profiles across all subscription tiers on connected TV devices. They're also rolling out another update that's going to be further out when using AI to identify scenes from shows and movies to feature in those video previews. And they want to use the AI to make the experience better for us as consumers. And these aren't the only changes coming to Max in light of its soon-to-be spin-off of linear networks. There's speculation that Max could also remove, or HBO Max could remove sports from its offerings, which I found interesting. So the two companies will be streaming in studios, which will consist of Warner Brothers Television, Motion Picture Group, DC Studios, HBO, and HBO Max. The other, currently called Global Networks, will be the rest of the company's assets, legacy cable networks, TNT Sports, digital products, and free-to-air channels in Europe. And David Zaslav said on a conference call recently with investors
he teased that HBO Max may not have live sports, saying inside the U.S. sports have been less critical. It's viewed, but it hasn't been a real driver for us, so we'll continue to be on HBO Max, but the global network's business will evaluate over time where the best place for that is. So that could be some kind of merging, with, putting it all on TNT. It could be merging TNT Sports with, say, the Comcast spinoff Versant. But I found that interesting since live sports drives a lot, and they lost the NBA, so that could be another key issue there. And then lastly, one other thing that they really didn't announce per se, apparently it happened over the last month or two, but they have increased the number of ads on the ad-supported plan, and we have noticed it ourselves. When they first rolled it out, I want to say it was 4 years ago, the ad-supported plan. I can't remember what that number was, but they had committed to only airing
4 minutes,
4 minutes per hour of content. That has, yes, and now that has gone to 6 minutes, and also putting ads in their own original content, which we always comment that doesn't really make sense, because HBO really prizes their content. They say it's premium. Why would you put ads in your own content to take it? And the answer is simple. It's for money. And saying, I've seen the same trend on Disney Plus. I spent the last 2 weeks working my way through the final season of Andor, which is a Disney Plus original, and there were 5 or 6 ad breaks in each episode, and each of the ad breaks were a minute and a half long to 2 minutes. And I thought it was excessive. I thought it took away from the experience. And then, because if you're a Star Wars fan, you know what it leads into. So I finished Andor and I watched Rogue One, and I was curious to see how many ad breaks are going to be in this movie, and they had only 3 in the movie, which I thought was just interesting that they would choose to cannibalize their own original content that way. Yeah, and relatively and also Prime Video. I don't really watch anything on Prime Video, but Prime Video also made a recent increase in the ads, and relatively speaking, compared to the 15 minutes of ads that you see on linear TVs per hour of content, 6 versus 15 isn't bad, right, by any means, but it's a noticeable change, and we know it's one for WBD to make more money, and it's only going to continue to grow this way. And we're using Paramount Plus for the next month or two to get through some shows, and their ads are horrible. It's every time it's a 2.5 minute block of ads, so it's only going to continue to go that way.
Yeah, so. Agreed. Well, you're welcome for all the news, yes. Nancy. Thanks to everyone for hanging in there with us. We did have a lot of news today.
Yes, we did. And yes, thank you everyone for watching us. We will be here next Friday, and hopefully everyone has a great weekend streaming something fun, and hopefully not too hot.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Yes.
See you next week.
Bye.